Okay, after about 2 months, Soft Signal is back. The much awaited comeback of our podcast. And my name is Varun.
And my name is Aditya, and I think this is our fourth comeback or something like that, right?
Yeah, I think at this point we can be members of the Pakistan cricket team. Uh, these honorary members.
Yeah,
Uh, but yeah, just we had some um, family time, some travel, so just got caught up with that. But we are back with another episode, fresh off the India's victory in the Champions Trophy. Congratulations, a tournament where we truly had to travel across hostile environments, play in front of foreign crowds on difficult pitches. But all that said, it's still an ICC tournament victory. So great news, right? One more tournament after so many years. We suddenly have two victories in the space of a few months.
yeah, that's amazing. But actually, when you think of it, India doesn't really have any away games because wherever India goes, the Indian supporters probably outnumber the local supporters anyways. But
Yeah,
yeah, two consecutive ICC trophies. I think the floodgates have opened maybe.
yeah. So this is our seventh ICC tournament, if you count the one that was shared between India and Sri Lanka. Third Champions Trophy victory. So we thought, why not look back at some of the memorable innings by Indian batsmen across all ICC tournaments, not necessarily just ones that we've won. But and then see, and this spans ODI World Cups, T20 World Cups, and Champions trophies. So we decided to do a bit of a tournament style, bracket style um, discussion today. And we have eight top innings. We had a bit of discussion to choose these eight. We both had a bit different ideas, but we finally narrowed down on eight. Funny enough, we just won the Champions Trophy, but I don't think any of them are from the Champions Trophy, which maybe speaks a lot for how high the Champions Trophy is valued or how India has done over the years, because initially they didn't really do too well. Um, and but yeah, so the innings are from ODI World Cups and T20 World Cups. They start from 1983, which everyone knows was the first time India won a World Cup, and the latest one, I believe, is from the 22 T20 World Cup. So there's nothing from the past two editions that the ones that we won. No,
Yeah.
there's no innings that stands out there. But it is what it is. Maybe our bowlers won us those tournaments. But so I'm gonna pull up my screen in a second where we'll go through eight. The eight ones have been divided into um, four matchups, if you would say. So the draw has been randomly done, courtesy our friends at OpenAI or ChatGPT. And then we'll try to do so. We'll have four quarterfinals, we'll have two semifinals, and then we'll decide finally in our view which is the best one. Might be some compromise involved on either side because it wouldn't be fun if we thought the exact same way about everything. But we'll see how it goes. Okay, you ready? Should I bring it
Yeah,
up?
let's do this.
Okay, awesome. Please get ready to witness the most visually stunning presentation of all time. Yep, probably not winning too many awards, but it does the job. So let's start with the one on the top left. I think we'll spend a few minutes on each of them. Maybe we can talk about one innings each and then we can decide which one is better. So maybe I'll start with the Sachin 98 versus Pakistan because I actually uh, advocated quite strongly for it to be in this list in the
Yeah.
first place. Um, I mean, we all know what this was in the World Cup 2003. India and Pakistan had not played for 3 years at this point, and the last time India had played against Pakistan, like through the 90s decade, basically India used to just get walloped by Pakistan in Sharjah, Toronto, in India also, in Pakistan, basically anywhere they went, they used to lose. So the Indian team was coming off a decade of losing to Pakistan. This was a high stakes match, not so much for India because I think they had already qualified for the next stage, but it was a really good Pakistan team. Bowling was, some of them were on the way out, like Wasim and Wakar, but they're still Wasim and Wakar. And then Shoaib Akhtar was pretty much at his peak. And I talked a lot just before the match as well about how he was going to get Sachin out. And they put up 274. They batted first, put up 274. 274 in 2003 was quite a steep target. And I think Sachin, even though he didn't score a century, he was just on song that day. One of the best aesthetically pleasing innings I've seen. Um, did not uh, just took the game. I think they got some 90 in the first 10 overs, which was just set up the game. Because even though when he got out, they needed 100 to win, but there was so many balls left that Dravid and Yuvraj were just able to knock it around and win the match. So, yeah, a match-winning innings helped to knock Pakistan out of the World Cup as well, and just what it symbolized after almost a decade of being um, beaten by Pakistan. Do you want to take the other one?
Yeah, yeah, I can take the other one. Um, so that's Gautam Gambhir versus Pakistan in the final of the T20 World Cup in 2007. Um, so I think, of course, this innings is special because it was played in a final. So, high stakes match against Pakistan, the first ever T20 World Cup. And if you look down the scorecard, there wasn't much else from anyone else from India's batting lineup except Rohit Sharma, who did score 30 runs of 16 balls towards the end. But Gambhir, with his 75 or 54 balls, set the tone. And you kind of need openers to do that in a big match like the final of a World Cup. If you can set a platform, it just makes everything a lot easier after that. So yeah, special innings by Gambhir. He seemed to do that a lot in the finals and kind of still fly under the radar. And to be honest, even in this match, he somehow flew under the radar in spite of top scoring because he wasn't the man of the match. Irfan Pathan was the player of the match in the finals. So I think this innings deserves a lot of credit for sort of laying the platform and letting India win the first ever T20 World Cup. And then, of course, we've seen what happened after that, right? It gave birth to the IPL, and then T20 cricket in the form it is today is just like probably the most entertaining and the most revenue generating version of cricket. So yeah, for me that's a special innings in a very special situation.
Yeah. Okay, so time to make a pick of who wins this matchup. Despite advocating so hard for Sachin's innings, I'm going to, from my side at least, knock him out in the first round because I feel like Gambhir's innings had more at stake and was a more impactful innings if you think about it, like you just said, what it impacted in cricket in general. So, who's your pick?
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, it's the finals of a World Cup at the end of the day, and Sachin's knock was awesome against a better bowling attack for sure, but it wasn't a knockout game. It was still a league game. Uh, and yeah, I think Gambhir, just for the situation of the entire innings probably beats Sachin's 98 in that matchup.
Awesome. So we have our first semi-finalist, which is Gambhir goes through. Next up, we have a couple of T20 innings, World T20 innings, and both against Australia. So do you want to take the first one, maybe the Kohli one? Let's talk about it for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I think this innings is just special. I mean, um, again, Kohli in a chase is special as we know it, but this was Kohli in his prime, chasing a target, a middling target of around, I think it was around 160 or something like this, um, and against a strong Australian lineup. Of course, Australia is always a strong team, always a competitive team. But I think the ease in which he sort of knocked it off, especially towards the end, they needed like 30 odd from 3 overs, which in 2016 was not as easy as it is today. Um, and uh, he sort of batted through the innings, right? He laid the foundation. Um, 30 runs needed of 3 overs, and then the acceleration just suddenly came. I think first he hit. I think it was. Uh,
Faulkner,
uh,
right?
Clint Mackay,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Or was it James Faulkner? No, it was James Faulkner. You're
one
right.
of them.
He hit him for a few boundaries, then Clint Mackay, and then finally Nathan Coulter-Nile, and then in the end, India won that match with a few balls to spare. But just the ease in which he did it, the way he set it up and then completed the chase, it was phenomenal. It wasn't an easy track. I think they played in Mohali, but obviously the ball doesn't spin as much in Mohali. But still, it's not easy. It was a knockout game. It was the quarterfinal of that World Cup. But yeah, just a special knock by Kohli under pressure in a World Cup quarterfinal, chasing. He was in his prime, and he really made it count.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. One of the best innings I've seen. Like, I couldn't believe the last three overs. They were really special to watch. The other innings in this thing is also a very special innings. Of course, that's why it's here. But Yuvraj Singh 70 of 30 balls, which is again thinking of the year it was, World T20 2007. Very, very impactful innings that pretty much propelled India into the final, where we already know they beat Pakistan. I think, and he had missed the previous match, and the match prior to that was the one against England where he had made the six sixes. So he was already in great form. So there's a lot of pressure on him to perform, and I think, yeah, he that it was T20. Everyone was pretty new, but Australia had a really strong bowling lineup as they pretty much always do. I'm just looking at it. They had Brett Lee, they had Bracken, they had Stuart Clark, they had young Mitchell Johnson, and then they had spinners and Simons and Clark were not pretty handy as well. So yeah, like single like he had support through the innings, but he was the top scorer by far. And then yeah, I think that just inspired India to beat Australia. You also have to think that this is an Australian team that had won three ODI World Cups
Hmm.
in a row. They were the training Champions Trophy winners, so they were just on another level. So yeah, I think 70 of 30 by Yuvraj was I think he was the man of the match as well. So yeah, uh, very deserving innings to be here, but it's time for the vote. What do you think? Who wins this one?
Yeah, this is a hard one to pick, but yeah, I have, but I still have to go for Kohli, I think, because just the whole memory of that match was awesome. I mean, had Yuvraj's 58 versus England been there, I might have picked that over the one against Australia. But I think Kohli's 82 was probably for me better than Yuvraj's 70. Just the context in which it was done, the way he chased it down, it was quite special for me. Uh, yeah, it's a tough pick, but I think Kohli just tips Yuvraj there.
Yeah, tough one for me, but I'm actually agreeing. I feel like Kohli was a better innings as well. And this was still a group game, but it was still a knockout game. I think the winner would have gone through to the semis. So, and again against Australia, and yeah, he
Yeah.
single-handedly got them to the finish line. It was in a chase as well, which is always harder, of course, than batting first. So, yeah, Kohli for me. That means we have Gambhir versus Kohli in the semi-final. Not the first time that's happened. But let's move on to the other side of the draw, to the right. So we have another Kohli innings in another T20 World Cup. So this was the most recent one that we have, which is in, well, we have the most recent one and the oldest one against each other. But let me speak for a minute about the most recent one. So against Pakistan, so obviously India Pakistan, always a high pressure game. This was the match after the previous T20 World Cup where they had lost by 10 wickets, where Kohli was a captain actually. So I feel it's something that played a part as well in himself personally. Pakistan scored a middling score 159 at the MCG, huge crowd, and India were 30 over 4. So that's the context. And then Kohli, he was not in great form in 22 also. So he was like, he was starting to become better in T20 at least. He and Hardik Pandya got about a 100-run partnership, but it was pretty much Kohli towards the end, right? The last three overs in particular, especially that shot of Haris Rauf, those two sixes, like one of his best innings, and it came at a time where everyone was writing him off. So I think uh, it was a group game. It was the first game of the tournament. So maybe not as much a stake as a knockout game, and we didn't win this tournament, but still, I think it was just against Pakistan, such a huge crowd, chasing again. So yeah, very, very special innings. You want to talk a bit about the innings that before we were born?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of tough to imagine. I mean, yeah, we are imagining this innings, right? Because it was in 1983. None of us was around back then. And interestingly, this match was not actually recorded because there was a BBC strike that day. So, uh, except for the people, and this is what I understood, but except for the people who were actually at the ground that day, no one's actually seen this innings.
Yeah, did it really
Um,
happen?
and it's a yeah, but it's a pity, right? Because this innings was so amazing. You look at the scorecard
Yeah,
of that game. India scored 266 in 60 overs against Zimbabwe, of which 175 have been scored by Kapil Dev. They came off 138 balls in 1983. So in 1983, he has scored at a strike rate of 126. He's hit six sixes and 16 fours. So that's special by itself. But on top of that, it's the situation. India at 17 for 5 against Zimbabwe in 1983. Had they lost that match, they were out of the World Cup. And had that actually happened, cricket would probably not have been the same as it is today in India. I mean, you could argue with that statement, but still, 1983 was the sort of catalyst for the future stars like Tendulkar and all of these people. It sort of inspired them to become the cricketers that they eventually became. But that's an amazing innings that he played, I'm sure, because 17 for 5, backs to the wall. Um, all the batsmen, the top order batsmen are gone. The ball's swinging around. He just needed someone to stay with him at the other end, and I think it was first Madan Lal and then Syed Kirmani that did it.
yeah,
But then I'm sure there was carnage that day because Kapil Dev just scored 175 of 138 balls, hit six sixes, um, and just turned the game around for India. And eventually, India won that game, and then went on to actually win the World Cup. So for me, that is a special, special innings, even though I never ever saw it.
yeah. Man, it's hard to pick in this one because it kind of feels weird to pick some innings that you haven't seen, but and that I hadn't included because I was thinking like maybe. Uh, but if we have to vote, I guess with what was at stake and what happened again, similar to the Gambhir pick earlier, I think I'll pick Kapil Dev's innings.
I have to agree. I think that innings was special. And even though we've not seen it, and like we said, most
And
people,
never will.
uh, yeah, exactly. We never see it, we never will see it. Most people in the world today have not seen it because of the strike. Um, but just the situation, just hearing about it, I mean, that innings must have been truly incredible.
Yeah. Okay, the last quarterfinal matchup, and that is ma- this has a bit of weight to it because first of all, it's from the same match. India's World Cup win after 28 years, and it has this innings. Gambhir has actually spoken about this a lot in the press about how his innings has been shadowed by the Dhoni innings. So we're bringing it up again. Do you want to talk about the Gambhir innings really quick?
Yeah, I mean, this is again one of those classic cases where he sort of played really well but flown under the radar. Similar to what happened with him in the T20 World Cup final, the 75 that's up there. Um, but yes, again, great innings given the situation. The finals of a World Cup, this time at home. So a lot of expectations, a lot of pressure, and India's played pretty well throughout the tournament. And they come up against a very, very strong Sri Lanka side that has rallied around Jayawardena's 100 in the first innings and posted a very strong 274, right? So in 2011, 274 is a good score. Um, and especially in a World Cup final, that's not an easy task to chase down. But Gambhir, then again, um, first of all, there's he's batting at three, so he's no longer opening the innings. He's seen Sehwag get out very cheaply and then quickly followed by Tendulkar's dismissal. So India is in this precarious position where they are two down for not many. They need a partnership. They need some stability in order to even start dreaming about winning this game. And that's exactly what he did. He set up a partnership with Kohli, and then he carried it through. Right, even when Dhoni came in, Gambhir was still there, and he sort of set up the platform. He rescued India from a precarious position, and he'd sort of done all the hard work before letting Dhoni sort of add the finishing touches. So yeah, again, a fantastic innings given the situation of the game and um, and what was at stake. But yeah, unfortunately, it just seems to fly under the radar. I don't quite understand why.
Yeah, because of the next innings, which is MS Dhoni 91, which so he had not made any runs throughout the World Cup, right? So I think he had not been made a 50, average was in his 20s or something. And yeah, came promoted himself to number five. His usual position is number six. And yeah, they were 110 for three or something. So they still had 160 to get. Murli Tharan was in his last game, but still Murli could have fallen apart pretty quickly, but he held it together. And then when Gambhir got out, I think it was really straightforward, but he did finish it off in style. So 91 real captain's innings in a World Cup final, matching the other captain as well. So yeah, so we've said that Gambhir's innings have been overshadowed. In our vote, time for our vote now. Is he going to be overshadowed again? What's your take?
Yeah, I don't think it should get overshadowed in terms of our vote. I think Gambhir wins this matchup for me. Um, I think he did all the hard work. He saved India in a precarious position when we were two down for not many. I think Gambhir goes through in this one for me.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Well, we're agreeing on everything, maybe, but
Yeah,
uh, Gigi, if you're watching, this is where you finally get your due. So please watch, because you are there are two Gambhirs in the semi-final. There could be a all Gambhir
exactly.
final, if depending on how the
Yeah,
next goes. But yeah, I mean, Dhoni, as much as he did 91, like Gambhir had to do the hard work, right? If he had fallen, then Kohli was pretty young in his career, so it could have really ended up not so great. Okay, now we're on to the semi-finals, so it should be easy, quicker because we don't have to discuss the innings. But so where we landed up, so we have the first semi-final is two T20 innings, the second semi-final is two ODI World Cup innings. So that's good. We don't have to compare formats, at
mhm.
least not until the final. So the first semi is Gautam Gambhir 75 versus Pakistan in the final, and then Virat Kohli 82 versus Australia World T20. I joked about the
Yeah.
Gambhir final, but it could be because I'm leaning towards Gambhir in this one. I feel like it was a final, right? So, but I know Kohli's innings was sublime. It kind of there was maybe more because of the home World Cups. There was more at stake there. If they had lost, they would have been out in the first round. Um, and then that was Kohli's real standout tournament, like at his peak. But then Gambhir again, final, right? So, but T20 wasn't even that important then. So was it like maybe we should have put Sachin in the semi-final, but it's too late now. But so all these are thoughts going through my head. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking the same. The thing is, it was a final. That's a big deal. But um, Kohli's 82 came in a chase.
Yeah,
Um, and it was basically now or never, right? Had India lost that game, they were out of the tournament. The same with so it's do or die, just like it was for Gambhir. So Gambhir's Gambhir's innings in the final, it was a do or die. Kohli's innings was a quarter-final kind of situation, again, do or die. Um, then, if I just talk about how memorable the innings itself was, um, I, I think Kohli's innings, the way he constructed the innings, was probably more exciting. Um, yeah, I mean, he just ran so hard. He hit the boundaries at the right time. He took on the right bowlers. It was so well constructed. Um, but then again, I'm not saying that Gambhir's innings wasn't. I just think that Kohli's innings was more memorable. Um, and someone who's watching this could argue that it's because of recency bias, but I don't think so. We watched the 2007 World Cup final so many times. The whole match again. On We watched highlights and so on, but I still think Kohli's 82 um, sort of is more memorable. I think it was a better bowling attack as well. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
I mean, you could argue, but I think it was a better bowling attack as well. Um, yeah, I mean that innings was awesome. I mean, it was just like so well constructed, right?
Yeah, I think at some point you have to see which innings had the more impact on you also, right? So I know Gambhir made
What?
75 in the World Cup final. I don't remember any shots from that innings. If you ask me to remember. But I can remember vividly Kohli's last 3 overs specifically, how he finished it off. And like I don't think recency bias maybe, but like it's not on the list because it's not ICC tournament innings, but we all remember Desert Storm, right? Because even though that happened 26 years, 27 years ago now. So if an innings is good enough, it'll stay with you. It's not, I mean, recency bias only plays that much of a role. So if you're okay with it, I'm going to select Kohli, unless you feel strongly for GG.
Well, let me add something in here. So, um, Gambhir's innings came in 2007. India won the World Cup, and that led to the IPL, and the IPL being what it is today. So, do you think Gambhir's innings was a catalyst for something big that happened a lot later and actually made India the powerful cricketing nation that it is today?
It's
So
not the
would you
order, I
consider that?
believe.
I have a question. I have a question. Would you consider that as well when you rate Gambhir's innings, or is that just it's different. It's not the innings itself. It's just a result of that innings, but not the innings itself.
Yeah, because it's not like it was a single-handed innings in the chase, right? And it's not like the tournament as a whole was India's that won. I don't remember him scoring like that strongly previously. So you can argue if Yuvraj hadn't scored in the semi-final, if Yuvraj hadn't scored the six sixes and 58 against England, if Irfan Pathan in the same final had not taken the 3 wickets, because the score was not great, 157 it was. So it had a role, but I'm not going to say it was the catalyst. It was part of the catalyst. So
Hmm.
are you trying to,
Okay.
do you want to select
Well,
Gambhir? Yeah.
so I was one other thing is I was looking at the scorecard. Okay, and Kohli scored 82 out of 161. So that's like almost 50% of the score. Um, there weren't too many contributions. Like, okay, batsmen scored 12 and 15 and 20 odd, etc. You could argue that this was more single-handed, let's say, as compared to Gambhir's, in which he still got Rohit Sharma's support, 30 odd in 16 balls towards the end of the innings. So maybe you could say that Kohli's innings was more single-handed and just more memorable. I think we both agree that it's more memorable.
Yeah.
So
We're
yeah, let's
selecting
go
him,
for
right?
Kohli
So
then.
let's select him.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm sure he'll win the other semi-final. So Kohli wins against Gambhir for now, though he could be against him in the final as well. So the second semi-final is Kapil Dev 175 versus Gambhir 97 Sri Lanka. I get everything about Kapil's innings for the time, very strong innings, like unseen in more ways than one, and helped us win the 83 World Cup. But was ODI cricket that much of a big deal for India? If we had lost that match and exited in the first round, they had exited in the first round 75 and 79 also. No one expected, and it wasn't such a big deal. It was in England, some like half the people didn't know. Half the team wasn't interested. If you see the movie, 2011 is completely different. By now, it's in India. Everyone expects India to win. Like 28 years they haven't won. Playing at Wankhede, there's surely more at stake in this one. I know it's 78 runs less, but what does runs matter? It's runs. It's about the occasion, right? And what did he win? He won a group game batting first. This is a chase. I'm very strong for Gambhir. Like if you have no option, I pick him right now. But I want to hear your thoughts.
Oh, I'm leaning the other way, completely the other way. I think Kapil Dev's innings, even though I've never seen it, so
What was at
so
stake?
it sort of goes against what I was saying about it being memorable and stuff. But I think what was at stake was um well, first of all, it was a knockout game. I mean, if India lost that, they were out of the World Cup. So that's one thing.
Yeah,
The second thing
which
is
they
that
already lost twice. Yeah,
yeah, but the second thing is that that's the whole point, right? You go to a World Cup, you're not there just to make up the numbers. And I think Kapil Dev says that in one of his interviews, right? We've seen the movie,
that's in the movie.
and it's become an icon, but it was actually true, right? It's an actual statement that he made. The thing is, for me, that innings is inspirational. It's truly, truly inspirational. I think for him to do that single-handedly, it sort of gave India
But
the
what has
belief
it
that they could
inspired?
actually win the World Cup. It's inspired the rest of the players, right? It's inspired. I mean, you see your captain turn it around in such a situation. 17 for 5, he comes in, scores 175 against Zimbabwe. Fine, it's Zimbabwe, okay, but it's still 17 for 5. I mean, he's literally inspired the team to believe in themselves and then win the World Cup in the end. So, and India is not a strong team at that time, right? In 2011, India is a strong team. Like if it's not Gambhir, then someone else could have very well come in and scored the runs. The India of 1983 is not really a strong team. And so again, it's about single-handedness, right? So he single-handedly lifted India from the bottom, won that game, and then sort of inspired everybody to win the World Cup. Gambhir scored 97, of course, but then let's not forget Dhoni scored 91, right? So I think Kapil Dev's innings is just like he's literally won that game on his own and then just inspired them to go on and win the World Cup. Beat West Indies no less, two times in that tournament.
Okay,
The
we have
West
six
Indies
minutes
of the
left, so I'm
1980s.
trying to also move
So
the
we've
forward.
got to go with Kapil Dev.
No, you gotta go. That's your opinion. But what is it? I have one question because you started with something and I had a question. Now I've forgotten it. But what was at stake if India had lost that match? And
Well,
what
they would
was at
have come
stake
back
versus
home.
and they would have
Well,
played
they would
in.
have come back home. They would have lost. They would have lost that World Cup. Uh,
Yeah.
Cricket would not have been what it is in India today.
How do you know?
And because
It
you
could
need a
still happen.
catalyst, right? You need a catalyst for someone to feel inspired. And we were the underdogs. I mean, imagine if Bangladesh wins the World Cup today. It's a special, special, special effort if they win a World Cup today. India was like that back then. Like we hadn't won a single match in the World Cups of 75 and 79. We were that much of an underdog. So for us to do that, win the World Cup was amazing. But let's not forget that had we lost this match, we would not have won the World Cup anyway. So yeah,
Yeah.
for me, this is just a truly inspirational innings.
Okay, I'll hold back on the inspiration for it because I think we are limited for time, so I'll actually pick Kapil. We'll go with that one. But like was one thought that you said Kapil is that innings inspired Sachin and whoever, maybe cricketers of the 90s. I will argue that Gambhir's innings has not had time to inspire yet because people who, let's say, 10-year-old watched it then, they're like 23, 24-year old now. So maybe they're just starting to emerge. So I like there's time for that to inspire um a younger generation. So we'll see.
Well, Sachin was 16 when he debuted, so
Yeah, but he was 10 when he saw the innings, is what I'm saying. So that but we'll pick Kapil. So Gambhir, you lose in both semifinals. What a disaster for him. After
yeah,
against the odds, beating
he's going to
Dhoni
go back.
and now so maybe
Exactly, he's
stop
going to go
watching.
back
Just
and
watch
make
for the
some.
semis. Uh, Okay, we have 3.5 minutes left. We want to end it on a note as well, so we'll maybe go through the last final quickly. But we're left with two very different innings. Your favorite innings, apparently, which inspired you. Kapil's 175 with 1983, and then Virat's 82 in Australia. If it had been, I feel like this left side of the draw, if Gambhir had won the first semi-final, this would have been a contest. For me now, I'm finding it hard to pick against couples innings because you just played it up so much. So it's kind of odd now to also like what did Kohli's innings they had? Yeah, they would have lost. They'd have exited the tournament, but they've
Yeah,
won so much before that. And it was the couples was more one sided, more single handed. So there's that. So
so
are we
are you saying
picking
it's Kapil?
couple Dave out of the
Oh, I
only
am
player?
picking Kapil Dev.
The only player in this entire thing who we haven't seen play. Forget that match. I don't think because he retired when we were very young, so I don't think I've ever seen him play
Yeah,
live also. But we're picking him out of all the innings that we've
I think
seen.
so. I think so.
What a time to be alive.
I mean, we are picking that innings.
Yeah, yeah, we're picking the
We are
innings.
picking that innings. We've not seen it, I agree,
So
but
I don't know where to put him.
stats and numbers don't lie, right?
Let's just bold him. Just this is the graphic design. We don't have budget to hire a graphic designer, as you can tell. But yeah, maybe we'll pick him then because I feel like maybe he could have come up with against a more worthy opponent now that I look back on it. But the draw fell out the way it did. So I feel like Kapil versus Gambhir 97 in the final would have been a great debate. But
Well, you know who would have won that as well, right?
no, no.
And that would
Then
have
we would
been
have
like
spent a bit
deja
more
vu
time.
for Gambhir.
But yeah, strange that Sachin didn't even make it to the semifinals. Kohli made it finally to the final, but yeah, Gambhir, I feel bad for him, man. Since Rohit didn't even feature. Okay,
Yeah,
so our winner is finally Kapil Dev 175 versus Zimbabwe. The innings which might never have happened also because we don't know. No one saw it. But we take the word of Bollywood and the 10,000 documentaries that we've seen on the subject to this is the value of conditioning as well, right? When you see something so many times, even though you've never seen it, you just believe it.
yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
I think we
But
have
I
to
think
end
he's
it
the winner.
here because we are running out of time. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this new format, and we'll be back soon with something similar.
Yeah, see you soon.